Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Fitness Friday. I'm excited to have a chat with you guys today. This is a topic that I think is really important, and I've heard a lot of my friends kind of discuss this in their own lives and how they've gone to the doctor and they've been told something about their health that they need to fix, and they finally jump on the bandwagon to make a difference in their lives. And so I just want to have a chat about it and be able to discuss the different ways that we actually forget to take care of ourselves and the simple things that we can do starting today to live our best lives and not get to the point where we're sick and we have to fix the issue. So I want to invite my friend Coach Idris on. So I'm going to play his intro. Let me introduce you to my friend, Coach Idris. He is a National Academy of Sports Medicine certified personal trainer with 25 years experience. Idris specializes in women's fitness through NASM. He is a nutritional counselor, certified EMT, and LVN. He has worked helping hundreds of clients from high school to professional athletes and housewives to CEOs of companies to achieve their weight loss and fitness goals. He is the former 2002 Mr. USA bodybuilding champion with 20 years of competition experience. He's also an Air Force military veteran where he served in Desert Storm as a combat medic. Everybody help me welcome my friend, Coach Idris. Woohoo! Hey. How's it going?
Good. Get taller like you. There we go. Yeah, I was sitting in the short chair.
Yeah, you can't be shorter than me, right? How tall are you in real life, actually?
I'm 6.
6, okay.
So yeah, like you can sit in the chair and the table's right here.
Right. Every now and again, I go to a restaurant and I'm like, am I supposed to feel like I'm a little kid? And I'm just thinking so weird.
Can I sit in the adult section?
No, I'm so excited about this conversation. I mean, we've talked about this a little bit here and there through different episodes, but I think this is an important one because I don't think that people really take into the account that their actions today will create health issues for them later on in life. And so I have a lot of friends. Actually, we talked in one of our other episodes about one of my friends who actually just this last January, I think it was told by her doctor that she needed to make changes or she was going to have an expiration date. And so she jumped on the bandwagon. She started eating healthier, exercising.
They were going to move up her expiration. We all have an expiration date.
Yeah, right?
She was moving hers up.
None of us are getting out of this live alive, right?
Exactly. But she was moving her date up. And you want to move your date up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's one of those dates you don't want to move up.
You don't want to move up. Yeah.
No, but I love the change that she made for herself because she used to be very non-existent on social media. You could tell that she wasn't proud of herself. She wasn't really giving herself the kudos in her life that she deserved because, I think we all get in this mode of where when we're not feeling good about ourselves, then we don't want people to know what's going on in our lives, right? And just to see her confidence in the way that it has changed her life just by changing her health habits to better her life and what she's doing for her own family, I think is amazing. She is one of the people that I follow and love seeing her success. So I'm super excited for her, but this is just one of those topics that I think that we need to talk about and discuss a little bit more. So,
and it's a very, very deep it's a hard subject to get people to understand because everyone knows when they're out of shape. Everyone knows it's going to hurt them. It's not true at all if someone we try to rationalize. This is what people do. Whenever you're really good at something and you look at people who aren't really good at it, we try to figure out how to help someone be better at it. So we come up with our own reasons of why this person or this type of thing is going on. And I don't really believe anyone doesn't know eating horribly and not exercising can turn out bad. I don't believe anybody doesn't know that. Okay. So the question is why don't you do something that you know you should do when you know if you don't do it, you could have a serious problem one day? That's really the question. Like, you know, this is like, no one thinks drinking a case of beer on the weekends can turn out good if you're doing it every weekend, but people do this every weekend. Now, you know, drinking a case of beer, so you got to go, either this person has an alcohol problem and they can't, or they just don't care where this leads. And I think, honestly, a lot of people really just don't care where it leads until they care. Until they care.
Yeah.
Okay? And that happens
That's
a lot.
exactly what we're talking about. Yeah. Because, I mean, we don't realize that something is going to cause those problems down the line until
I don't believe, but that's my point. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I believe a child, if you were 12, I would, but not a 45-year-old. I can't get, if you're 45, 50 years old and you don't know that alcohol causes liver problems and causes marital problems, then I don't know how we can have a conversation. You should at least know that. You don't have to do it, but don't tell me you don't know it. And I think, so a lot of times I think we have to work on a premise that common sense is somewhere in the equation, like somewhere. Because I have a lot of times when I'm dealing with, and this is a serious problem for anyone who coaches. Am I dealing with a person that I can actually speak rationally to or not? Because if I can't speak to you rationally, nothing I'm saying is gonna matter. Like, you're not gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're taking real, just common sense understanding of people, like eating horrible foods, fatty foods, high cholesterol foods, you know, watching your stomach grow. There's no way you can be like, this is no big deal. I just don't see that. So we have to kind of work with people at some point where, okay, can we agree that certain things can kill us? Can we agree that alcohol, you know what I'm saying? Can we at least agree with that? And then if a person can go, yeah, I know. Okay, so now why are you not doing it? Because now we can actually talk about it. And a lot of times I think people may not think it's going to get as bad as it can get. They don't know all the things that can go wrong. I know a person, a girl, on the whole, when we talk about dating and stuff, she went to jail for 10 years for selling drugs, and she knew she was going to get caught. She knew it was, and she goes, I just didn't think they were going to give me so much time. I thought they were going to give me a slap on the wrist. I was like, oopsie.
That's an oops you don't want to make, right?
But she actually was like, no, I'm okay with a certain amount of punishment. I just didn't expect all the punishment I got. And I think it's like that. I think a lot of people expect something. I know I don't take care of myself. I feel okay. You know, I can still walk upstairs. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we do. And also something that we do is we accept age as being the reason, instead of saying, no, you're out of shape because you don't exercise, not because you're 50. You're not overweight because you're 50. You're overweight since you were 30. So how can overweight be because you're 50? You know, and that's what we're talking about. Like, you know that it's not because of it's because of your lifestyle.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. I mean, you got to be able to at least say, I know I'm getting older, but that's not why I'm not. I know I'm getting older, but that's not why I'm not successful in business. You know what I'm saying? It's not because of my age. It's because I'm not doing those things. I'm doing this. I'm not doing that. So that's where you got it. That's the first place to help anybody. They have to at least be realistic about what's going on.
Yeah, I think that it's just really easy for us to justify our actions because we may want something at the moment, right? We want to have that piece of cake. We want to have that drink of alcohol. We want to do all these things because in the moment right now, it doesn't seem like it affects. And we
associate it with fun.
Yeah.
I had people say that to me, I don't know how many times over the years. Well, you don't have any, because when I would die for a contest you don't have any fun. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I go to Disneyland like everybody, go to Universal, like golf. I have fun. No, but you don't eat like cake. And I'm like, that's not fun to me. Fun is activity.
You're not having fun while you eat?
I didn't know people had fun when they eat until I heard some people. I was like, wait a minute. People actually eat and get giddy. Like, I don't get like that. Like,
They get the
And,
same
and so
response from a roller coaster that they do
that
by
was a
like
new
putting that cake in their mouth, right?
that was new for me. No, I'm serious. I didn't know people get giddy and joyful to eat something. Because I don't care how good some food is. I mean, like, I don't care how good it is. I don't dream about it later. I know people that actually can't stop thinking about the meal they ate. So that's different. That's really different. And once I saw that, I was like, okay, that's why I can control what I eat, because I don't get like that with food. So if you do get like that with food, that can be, I guess, that can be a problem. That is a problem.
Yeah.
That is a problem.
Well, I think we just have so many things in our life that are centered around food and alcohol and all that, like anytime we go out and do anything with anybody, with family, with like for any occasion, to celebrate any occasion, what are the first things that we plan at those things? We got to plan the food, we got to plan the drinks.
Again,
so it's like everything we do is centered around food. And
why? But now, why is that?
I don't know. I think it's just a cultural thing, right? That's like,
it's what we've been taught.
Yeah, our mamas did it for us,
and their mothers. Think about it. Whenever I mean, I'm a little older than you, but today you can't to somebody's grandmother's house without going, ready to eat? You hungry? As soon as you walk in, you hungry? They don't ask you if you eating. They don't care if you just eat. As soon as you walk in the house, hungry? Sit down. Hit a plate.
Oh yeah, I went to go visit my mom because she just had some surgery yesterday, and I brought her a treat because I get these cookies from this. It's called Great Harvest. You might have some in Texas, but anyways, they have these sugar cookies there that are some of my favorites. So I grabbed one to go take to my mom just to, brighten her day with having surgery. And what happened when I left, I left her house with more dessert than I brought to her house, because she's like, oh, your kids need dessert, right? And so she's like packing it all up for me, which is greatly appreciated. I love that she's always thinking of me and my kids and wanting to treat us as well. But it's just how we've been taught. That's how, like, here I was going to get her a treat, and then I ended up leaving with treats from her house, like it's just this exchange.
This is a huge issue when it comes to like severely, I don't even know, it's not really called severe, it's called morbid, but morbid obesity. And then you see it all the time. And I don't know, common sense is not something that I think we take common sense for granted. Everybody doesn't have common sense. I thought they did, but they don't. And I know, and once I realized that, I was like, okay, I need to be a lot more understanding to why. But you look at people who are really obese, more obese, people go, well, why are they feeding them? I'm like, well, you don't feed them at all? Like, what are you talking about? They still have to eat, right? But they go, well, they enable them. I'm like, yeah, because we're taught to show love with food. So what if they feel sorry for this person's going through it? I don't know if you ever watched any of those shows where the person's and you watch the person going through it. How could you not give them something? You know what I mean? Because you're watching your loved one go through something. So enabling people, a lot of people like it's like all you got to do is just say, "Oh, I'm not going to do it." No, it doesn't work like that when you're a child or somebody that you love. So I think you got to prevent as much of this before it ever gets that bad. You just got to, because if you're 600 pounds overweight, you've gone past a lot of numbers to get there, right? You were 150, you were 200, you were 3. So somewhere back there, that when you find out it's there's no control with it. I don't want to say out of control, but there is no control over what's going on. That's where you have to really, really buckle down if you can, because that's a very hard subject. Everybody knows it. That's why it's such a sensitive subject, because it's a hard subject. To me, it's nothing to talk about. Like, I don't know. I don't think any subject that's about health and wellness should be off limits, to talk about. I don't think we should mess with people, jeer them, make them feel bad about themselves. But you should be able to talk about it. And a lot of times you can't. You know how many people I know that have a loved one and they can't say, I can't say anything. I don't want to say anything. I'm like, if you love, also we have a weird society that thinks if you tell somebody that what you need to tell them, just because the person has a hard time hearing the truth, all of a sudden it's tough love. Like, I don't understand. How can love only come in one form? things you want to hear. That's the only way love can come. I can't tell you because I love you. I can't tell you to stop doing this because I love you. I can't tell you to stop eating. I can't tell you to stop doing drugs. That's what love is. People who don't tell you to stop are the ones who don't love you. Okay?
Yeah.
The ones who sit there and say, hey, have another drink. Yeah, smoke it up. But the person that's saying, that's not tough love. That's love. I'm telling you because I love you. Just because you don't want to hear it makes it tough. How about somebody like me who loves to hear stuff that can help me do better in life? It ain't tough love to me, right? It's welcomed. It's welcomed with me. Because if you think about anything you've ever done in life that was really, really good, it was really, really hard.
Yeah.
All the good stuff is hard to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
All the good stuff. Have a flat stomach, a successful business, a successful marriage. Your children still love you even at 18. No, I'm just kidding. Not 17. You know, I went past 15, 16, and 17.
Yeah.
Because they all hate us around 15, 16, and 17. Don't worry, son. I'll be here when you love me again. You'll see.
Right. I remember when I was younger, I was like so worried and terrified that my kids were going to hate me in certain ways, right? So I was like trying to like work around that. But you know what? That's how it has to be. If your kids don't hate you at some point, then you're probably being a little too easy on them.
You know how I reconcile that? You know how I got through that? Seriously. I thought about all the parents, especially the mothers, not necessarily dads as much, but definitely mothers, who aren't worth a dime to their kids, and their kids still want them in their lives. So I was like, wait a minute. This chick ain't even been around and has been on drugs for 7 years, and their kid hasn't even seen them, and they still love them. I'm good. I'm serious. That's exactly what I did. I was like, if they can still love that person, that love is way deeper given it credit for. So I'm gonna just discipline like I'm supposed to. And one day they're gonna look up, as long as you're not malicious with your discipline, as long as you're being real and honest with your discipline, they're gonna one day go, okay, he was right. And that's all that happened. When my son got a certain age, he was like, all right, Dad, okay. And now he's 36. He'll be 36 next week, actually. And we're closer now than we've ever been. So
that's awesome.
Ever been. So I tell people all the time, like, it didn't. And I had a girlfriend too that was really like, your son's gonna hate you. I was like, if he hates me for making him do his homework, then he can hate me. I don't know what to tell you. Like, if he's gonna hate me for making him do the right thing, then hate me. I'm cool with that. I can live with that. I'm serious. I can live with that. If that's why you're gonna hate me, then go ahead and hate me.
No, that's kind of the thing though. Like, we just need to be able to say, especially to the people that we love, like what's important, right? Because we're coming to a world, we've talked about this many times, about how we're all trying to make each other feel good all the time. We're all trying, like, that's why we have all these movements going on where we're like, okay, it's good to be big and beautiful. It's good to like be and healthy in these ways or that way, you know? And like even anorexia, I've seen people promoting anorexia on different social media.
I heard about that lately. I've heard about that. Yeah.
And it's crazy. Yeah. And I don't even understand like how somebody could watch something like that and think that it's good for them. But I think there's just so many confusing things coming at them in the world that we have to be able to have these conversations, especially with our kids, especially with the people that we love. And it's important, you know, and
it starts at home. It starts with, look, if you come from a home with a person that has the same unhealthy ways of thinking, how are you supposed to escape that? I'm gonna be honest with you. The way women talk, the way mothers talk to daughters and sons are not the same. Like the stuff that my sisters and them had conversation with my mom, I never heard about looks, making sure you're not overweight, so men will like you. I've never heard any of that stuff. So when I was talking to my sister once, and she was like, "Yeah, Mom used to always say this to us and that," and I'm like, "This is what you guys are listening to?
I'm actually kind of intrigued. Like, what was your mom saying to your sister?
Well, just, about being, I mean, this is an old school thing, but I'm sure any woman over 65, 70 would probably know this. Don't you know, man wants a fat woman. You want to, take care of your man, otherwise he'll go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? The women back in the day kind of made the house stay together. Like, women back in the day were the glue. No matter what happened, no matter how stupid the father was or whatever no matter, the women kept everything together. Not that no more. And it's not like that because it's like okay to come up short. It's okay to come up short. It's okay to not take care of your health. Don't tell somebody that that's not attractive, even though the person that's experiencing it doesn't feel very attractive. Just don't say it out loud. Let them live in that world. And that's how people get bigger, and that's how we're all of us are looking at stuff going, this doesn't make any sense, because it's not healthy to do that. It's not healthy to be that much overweight. Forget looks. It's not healthy to do. It'll lead to a short life. So I don't know why people want to make anorexia. It's not good. So why would you promote it? And why would you not tell people who are promoting it to stop promoting it? Because it's a health issue. It's not, it's not that, it's not an appearance thing. It's like, dude, if you want to be skinny, there's skinny people out there who can't put on weight at all. Okay, there's people out there. I've trained a few people like, I can't put any weight on. And people who are overweight always have envy for them. Oh, I wish I had that problem. I'm like, it's a problem. You don't want someone else's problem. You act like it's not it's a problem for them. The only reason you're saying this is because you put on weight easy. They don't put on weight easy, and it's still a problem for both of you. But it's easier for you because you can still get to eat. All you got to do is eat less. They got to eat when they're not hungry. They got to eat all day long, full meals, 4,000 or 5,000 calories every single day of their lives. People don't know how hard that's very hard to do.
Yeah, even when I just started doing the plan that like you have me on, like I really had a hard time eating that much food because I just wasn't used to it, right? And you just think in your head, you're like, how do I eat more? How do I add more?
But the difference for you is you didn't have a skinny problem. You just weren't eating enough. Yeah. I'm talking about people who eat all the time and still don't put on. And I'm talking about them.
That would be miserable.
Oh my God, man, it would be miserable. If it means a lot to you, if you feel insecure about it, like people don't realize skinny people have insecurities too. It's really weird how they think, oh, she's so lucky because she's skinny. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? What makes you think she enjoys? What do you think she wants? Why do you think she wants to be skinny? Or he wants, it's weird. I don't know. So that's why I think common sense is one of the biggest barriers to people just going, you know what? This is just looks. Like I always tell people, the byproduct, like with Bailey that I train, you should see her right now. Her body fat's at 13 right now, 12, 14,
really?
13. Yeah, she's gonna look good.
I want to have her on. I want to chat with her again. I want to.
Yeah, she's doing great. But to watch her mentality change over the last year, we're talking about a person who was always insecure about this and been working hard and I can't stop drinking. I'm only 26. I'm hanging out with my friends. I want to drink. To, you know what? I don't really need to drink that much anymore. To, I can't stand drinking anymore. I mean, I just and I didn't tell her every time I want to drink. Okay, well, drink this. If you're going to drink, this is what I want you to drink. This won't mess up what we're doing. And then she's pulling these things out of her life, not me, because she wants more out of it. And that's what I mean. If you can get somebody to want more out of their life, this becomes a lot easier. It's still hard to do, but it becomes a lot easier because you actually want it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get people. Last night I was talking to Tony, who's lost. Your sister's lost 20, right?
I saw you post about that. She's kind of secretive about all that stuff.
Yeah, she don't even. She don't even tell me. I'm like, what are you weighing now? She's like, oh, what? I'm like, how come you ain't telling me? I can see it. I'm like, okay, you're looking. Okay, I'm looking. Oh,
yeah, I just hung out with her last week, and I was looking at her, and I was like, you look good.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. from 3 doctors telling her she can't, lose weight to losing 20 pounds, right? In 10 weeks. So, yeah, so that bothers me so much. But anyway, it does, because it's not even true. Like, why are y'all saying this when it ain't true? That's like telling people you can never lose weight once you put it on. If you've done dieting, and it's not true.
Well, kind of going back to what you were saying, I actually had a conversation with my brother-in-law this last weekend, and he actually started doing the intermittent fasting, and he is down 90 pounds right now. And it was such a fun conversation with him, because just to see his excitement for life and the excitement for his new lifestyle, and knowing and understanding that it's kind of a fun game for him now. Like, once you get to a point where like you are enjoying what eating habits you are doing or what exercise plan that you're doing, it all of a sudden becomes a game, right? Like for me, like the eating part of it was pretty easy for me, but I think going to the gym was like kind of more of a game for me. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do today that's going to make me sore?
I would like to talk to your brother and ask him and let him speak on what's really going on in his head throughout this change. Because what we see on the outside really isn't anything. Like, we make it, yeah, you lost weight, but he's changed, and I'm curious to know how he's changed.
Yeah, I'm going to try and talk to him to get him on, because I mean, it was just a fun conversation. Him and I sat and talked for about 2 hours, because you can see the light and excitement about his life and what it means for him now. And he's a completely different person than I.
That's what I want. That's what people need to hear. Yeah. It ain't looks, because I'm telling you, it's not your looks. It's nothing to do with your looks.
Yeah.
I'm doing something I never thought I could do. People are recognizing me. Yes. Women are recognizing me. Even if you're married, this is another thing about this marriage thing. Everybody gets on my nerves. Just because you're married doesn't mean that no one sees you anymore and you're not attractive, or you don't see attraction in other people. So I always like, for my wife to get attention, or for men to look and go, hey, because that makes her feel good. If the only person that finds you attractive is your husband, you probably ain't that attractive, okay? If the only person that finds me attractive is my wife, I'm probably not that attractive.
Well, weirdly, you know what? Because we're humans, right? And we want that acknowledgement, right? Like, for some reason, we even enjoy it a little bit more when it comes from somebody that's not.
Enjoy it a little bit more. That's my whole point. With your spouse, you feel like you're obligated to like me. Like, you have to like me. But they don't.
If I go out on a date and my husband doesn't look at me and be like, damn, you look good, then I like, okay, I'm going back in and changing, because it's kind of a fun game for me. I'm like, I want him to think I'm sexy when we go out, right? Like, if I don't get that, I go back.
It doesn't matter how sexy. I'm telling you, yeah, we're gonna look at you and be like, but it's not about us when it comes to that. Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah, you look great, but it's so much nicer coming from a stranger. I don't care. Not just a male stranger, a female stranger. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I've gone up to women walking through parking lots where they're dressed. I mean, they're like Sunday, even on Sundays where they go to church and they're decked out. And I usually go up and say, hey, you look amazing this morning. You look great. Because I know who would hear that after you spent the last 30 minutes getting dressed.
Right?
So I don't forget the actual human element hearing a nice thing from a stranger. We live in a world now where people don't talk to each other. That's not the way it's supposed to be. Okay.
Oh my gosh, that is one of my most favorite things to do, is if I can find somebody new that I can compliment them on something. Like, if I notice something on someone that looks good or is awesome in that way, I love being able to go and say something about it, because not very many people take the opportunity to do that. And I think it's the most amazing gift you can give to a stranger.
It feels good to you. It feels good to them. Like, there's nothing negative about this whole. Now today you got people who don't even appreciate or make a big deal if someone says a compliment. They're like, oh, I don't know that person. Like, what are you doing? Like, were they rude? Were they out of pocket? Or they just say, hey, you look great? I mean, there's a way that's respectful. There's a way that's not. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But I think it's a good thing to do. I think the fact that we don't talk to each other is weird. Why we're afraid to talk. Why some women can't even take a compliment. I've said to women, you look. Why? One time, this woman, her daughter was in there with her, and I said, "That's your daughter? She's beautiful." And the first thing the girl was like, "Oh my God, right now I'm not even made up in the gym." I'm like, "Can't you just take the compliment?" Like if I'm saying you're cute and you're not at your best, be like, "Yeah, you should see me when I'm dressed up, dog." You know, you should.
Right? That's a better way to say it.
How could you
I had
frown
an
on something like
Allison
that?
comment up here because I love it when you guys comment because it lets us have a little bit of play with you guys while you guys are listening. But
Yeah, Allison is
when I tell
great
my husband
comment.
someone said something nice, he says, "I tell you that all the time." Haha, right?
Yeah, because it's not.
Okay, I know her husband Kyle. Don't be offended by somebody saying it. Just kidding.
But and this is something, and this is why I say this for some, Kyle or whoever. Yeah, it's nice coming from us, but it's different coming from us, somebody who does not have skin in the game. There's no skin in the game. That means they're saying it because they actually mean it. Like they mean it. Well, your husband, not that he doesn't mean it, but it's your husband. Right? I know if she gets dressed up and does it up, I better say something.
Yeah.
Something. And it goes the same way. Like a lot of men, we usually don't get complimented, and y'all forget that sometimes because it's not necessarily a thing that men will complain about. The biggest problem with relationship is men don't express ourselves enough, and or you got a man that don't know when to stop expressing himself, which is even worse.
Here's what I think the difference between that is, right? Because we've had this conversation before where like there's certain things that women can do to like just take their number up a little bit, right? Like if they don't usually wear makeup, then they put makeup on, then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, your number went up, right? Or changing your hair, things like that, right? Like take my husband, for example. He's a bald, like he shaves his head, right? Like he can't change too much of his hair or his face too much, besides trimming his beard or whatever, right?
We either look sleepy or we don't look sleepy. That's pretty much it.
So like we have the opportunity to make ourselves just like, so it's easier to compliment women, right? So I do challenge all you women out there, find your man or some other friend and give him a compliment because guys deserve it too. Like when I see a friend and he's going to the gym, I will compliment how well he looks, like just building muscle and stuff. I mean, that stuff is important. It's important for us as women, but you guys, it's crazy important for our men to hear it too. So I challenge you guys to do that. So
yeah, it's super important. A lot of women don't realize that men, we just don't say nothing about it. But we feel good too when somebody says something, especially as a man gets older. And because you got to remember, okay, I don't care how hot you think someone is, you don't know what they feel about themselves. And that's why when a lot of people say, "Oh, she's so confident," I'm like, you don't even know that person. You don't know how confident that person is. All you know is that they're showing that they're out there putting themselves out there. Most people, unless you're the most narcissistic person ever, is nervous when you step out in front of people and people are looking at you. Yeah, like I tell people like Bailey, she's like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna be nervous." I'm like, you think every time I get on the stage, I'm nervous? Every time I get on stage, I'm nervous because you don't want to mess up.
Yeah.
You want to do a good job. So it makes sense to be nervous, but I also don't care about making a mistake because I make them. I made $1 million, I'm gonna make another $1 million. So I don't worry about that. I just go out there, do my best. And then try to, like these podcasts, I never watch myself. I always ask people their opinion. And if they say, "You know what, I think you should blah, blah, blah. I think this," at first I found out why. And as long as it's not changing who I am, because sometimes people want me to change who I am. They actually say, "Well, you speak black and white in the gray area." And I'm like, no, I understand the gray area. Changes aren't made in the gray. Changes are made in the black and white.
Yeah.
Okay, we can talk about how we got here. We can talk about food, parents teaching us bad food habits, but black and white, how we all got here our own way. But at the end of the day, to make the change, you have to either do it or not do it. That's black and white. Either you're going to do it or you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Either you're going to shit or get off the pot. You can't, you either do something. That's black and white. So I skip over all the gray stuff because it's gray it's different for all of us. Like how you get to a place is different than how your sister got to that same. How you get to not being happy with yourself or happy the way you look, or happy the way you feel, is different than the way somebody else got there. That's all the gray. And it doesn't matter how you got here. It doesn't even, a lot of people think the way you got there matters. It doesn't. We're all here together now in the same miserable, depressive, feeling about ourselves. We're all here together. So the only way to get out is what? Is to do what you've been doing, and it starts up here by changing the way you think. Yeah. So I think a lot of people who are trying to, like we said, why do people wait so long before they make a change? Why do you wait till you're sick? And I learned this actually when I was in the Air Force, when I was a young kid, my early 20s, 19, 20, 21, 22. I saw so many people in hospitals dying for preventable things like smoking, drinking, and eating. I'm like, wait a minute. All three of those I have total control over. I have total control over. Car accidents happen. I got hit by a car, right? Accidents happen. But it's not an accident that you drank your liver to cirrhosis. It's not an accident that you eat. You know what I'm saying? It's not an accident that you smoke. Those are choices. Those are just choices. So I think some of the biggest issue with people making those choices is I think they don't think it's going to get as bad as it gets. Yeah. That's the only thing I can come up with because they know it's not good.
Oh yeah. So here's kind of the crazy thing that like started my path is I just started enjoying the taste of beer so much more, right? Like I had a lot of friends that were into like brewing their own beer and everything. And all of a sudden I was like, ooh, I like this one. Ooh, I like that one, right? And so I started to come home and just like crave beer for dinner, right? And I usually never would do that. I would usually only like have some drinks on the weekend with my friends or whatever, right? And I decided I just started having this craving for it every day after work. So I'd come home or I would get off work and I would have a beer with dinner, right? Well, when I started doing that, because I didn't like just the light beers, I liked the IPAs, right? So it was more fattening. So I was having a beer every day, maybe sometimes even two. And I saw my weight going up very small increments every week. And I was just like, okay, the one change that I made was that I really am enjoying my beer that I'm drinking every day, right? And some people are like, I cannot give up beer, right? But that was the first thing that I gave up in my whole fitness journey is I was like, you know what? This is not what I need for my life. So I stopped having beer. And the crazy thing was I lost I think 8 pounds just from
on drinking
over to water, right?
Just on drinking. And that's another thing when people say, I can't give up. That's not true. You won't. You're not. You see what I'm saying? Like the other day, Tony, it wasn't the other day, it was actually a couple of weeks ago, but she used the word can't. And I was like, no, don't do that. I said that you can't. And she was like, oh, Idris semantics. And I go, no, it's not. No, it's not. I teach behavior and I study this stuff. The words we say will come true. Okay. I did it already in my life. All right. 13 years of my life, I ruined because I made a vow to never let a woman hurt me. And I was worthless in relationships. So, and I didn't even remember I said it till I went to counseling 13 years later. So you'll need to stop acting like the words you say don't matter because they freaking matter. Number one.
They do.
Number two, that's what you're saying right now. You have to actually believe that you can make a change. You have to actually want this. You have to say it out loud. Because if you say out loud, I can't give up here, you can't. You can't. If you actually say that, then you can't. You can't. No, you can't. Because you're telling yourself you can't. I can't do it. So you're not going to see somebody say, I can't cut down that tree. Timber.
Well, the worst.
Let's read Allison real quick. Read Allison's real quick.
Let's see. There are so many mixed and conflicting information out there now. All the different diets and do this, but don't do that. And they do this, but don't do that. Another person saying the opposite. It gets really confusing and frustrating. Yes, 100%, Allison. Allie, thank you for saying that.
And Allison, that's one of the reasons that I think Facebook, this right here is a lot better than what you're not knowing. You can actually listen. There's enough of us professionals online now where you can listen to us speak more than just about diet, numbers, but just our philosophies. I think the trainer that's going to work the best for you is the one that has a philosophy that's not about quick weight loss. That's not about like I don't care. Anybody that works for me knows I don't really care what you weigh. I care how you feel and how and that you like the way you look. I don't know what that number is. Like Bailey right now, she's lost about 20 pounds total, 23 since I started with her. Yet her body fat's gone down like 10%.
Wow.
Okay, 10%. We put on muscle. Like she just took another scan. We put another pound of muscle, a pound of fat. Like she is just slowly coming down. And I'm like, your scale isn't even moving. And every single day, she started at a size 6. She's loose now. Her 2s are loose now. So, and I told her from the beginning, you're probably a 2 or a 0. And she was like, no, I'm not. She's there now. Because your frame doesn't
can't
really
even
change.
fathom it, right? Like that was hard for me. Like I couldn't fathom me even like getting to a better place than where I was, right? But it's possible.
Yeah, and it's not that she eats 5-6 times a day. She's tired, eating all day. It's just what we're eating and the training and everything is combined. And also she's doing a contest, so we're going deeper into fitness than like with you. You're going into a certain place where she passed where you are like 3 weeks ago. So she's taking you out. No, but she has to.
How dare you, Bailey? If you're listening.
Yeah. But she has to. She has to. When you're competing, you got to go. It's hard.
Yeah,
but
good for her.
I told her too from day one. I said, she was like, oh, I want to do well. I go, listen, don't do this to win. Do this to be your best. If your best wins, great. But don't do this to win. Do this to be your best. Because somebody else out there who has more time in the gym than you, more competition experience is going to beat you. Because they've been doing it longer. Not that they're better than you, they're just better than you at the moment. Okay? Yeah. So that's probably the hardest thing with her is keeping her here because she wants to do so good. And I'm like, you're going to do amazing no matter how you place.
Yeah.
No matter how you place, you're going to do amazing. Because look what we just did. So I'm trying to get her to just appreciate the journey more than the result.
Yeah.
That's some people can't do. They're too busy trying to get to the result and not appreciating the changes that it makes you a stronger person mentally. It makes you more knowledgeable because I've changed our diets 1,000 times, right? So you're going to learn more about how you're affected by food, how you're affected by, like now she knows, like even Tony was like, I put 2 pounds on. She goes, I guess I better cut the popcorn out tonight. But Tony's starting to notice when I do this, a little weight comes on. When I do that, the weight comes on. And that's all this is educating yourself on how you lose and gain weight and put on muscle and just to listen to just the confidence behind listening to them now as opposed to when we first started is just pretty cool. It's kind of hard to explain, but
No, I love exactly like what you said and how it's more about the journey than the results. Like enjoy the journey because when you enjoy the journey of it, then you can stick to it more, right? Like if you're on,
you're going to end up there. You're going to end up there by accident.
Yeah.
Seriously, you will end up there by accident. I tell people this, if you're eating right and working out all the time, how could you not end up in shape at some point?
Right?
You'll be in shape by accident.
To enjoy the journey. Like find a way, because if you're not enjoying the journey, if you're doing some fad diet and you're hating every moment of it, I've done keto. I'm not keto. I've done like the all meats and stuff. What is that? Paleo diet. Like I'll usually go to that, like go back and forth from that, but if I'm super strict to it, it can be miserable because you have low energy and you're just constantly hungry all the time. Right. And I was hating the journey. Right. But I've gotten to a place now where I can actually enjoy my journey while I'm achieving the results that I want. And I think that's huge. And I don't think that people realize that you can enjoy the journey. And you can understand how it works for you.
Use fitness. I use fitness for my stress reliever. I don't use alcohol and drugs. Because I know at the end of the day, if I use fitness as my stress reliever, the only thing that can come out of it is I'll be in better shape.
Yeah.
If I use alcohol and drugs, I'm not going to be in good shape. I'm not. I'm not talking about body shape. I'm talking about period. Like alcohol and drugs lead to divorce, battery, most domestic violence situations are attached to alcohol. Like I pretty much all of them. There's usually alcohol involved, right? So why would I pick that as a rescue mechanism?
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We pick alcohol, we pick drugs, we pick things that actually make us more depressed. Like isolating yourself from people. When you're depressed, you need to be around people, not isolate yourself. You just need to find better people to be around.
Yeah.
You know, people that bring you down. I'm just going to stay in the house. Well, don't stay in the house. Pick better friends.
Yeah.
You know, pick
One of
people
my
that are doing
favorite
good
quotes
things.
about depression is being depressed isn't about you not having friends. It's about feeling like nobody cares. And I think when you isolate yourself, how can you begin to feel like somebody cares when you take everybody
When
out
you
of
don't
your
talk to
world?
you don't talk to anybody. You know how many clients I've had that just disappear, and I'm like, where you been? Oh, and I'm like, and how'd that work out for you? Not good. I'm like, why would you go away? Why would you leave me when you're feeling bad? That's when you need me the most. You need me the most because you right now, you only operate when things are great. Because some people don't even this is what I meant when I was talking about this earlier. It is hard to change the way you feel about it. It's hard to change when you don't even admit that you have a bad one.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason to change. I competed against a guy, I won't say his name, but I competed against a guy and I beat him quite a few times. He would take second to me all the time because he always felt he got robbed. He would always say, oh, they robbed me, I should have won. He never got better. I kept getting better because I never said I got robbed. I was like, no, if I lost, I'm not good enough. If I lost, I'm not good enough. Get better, get better, get better. He already felt he was better. So he never beat me because he never got better. And I was like, keep thinking that. Keep thinking you got robbed because why improve yourself if you don't even think that you got anything to improve?
Yeah.
This is
So
what people
many of us
do
that actually, right? Like so many of us like will say, you know, this is happening in my life because of this person or this situation. And it's always like an outward way of pushing it, right? But it only causes change and better for yourself when you can look at yourself and say, okay, even though this is happening, I still have a response to what's going on. And my response is actually
It's
what is
poor. My
right?
response is poor. Yes.
Yeah.
Everything
so you
is
gotta
like that.
realize that your response is huge.
I always tell people it's not what happens, it's how you respond to what happens.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what happens, but how do you respond to it?
Yeah.
You respond poorly or you respond in a good way. Because you can do either. You can do either. You can either go this way, you can go that way. A lot of people act like they have no options. They go, well, I had no options. Yeah, you did. You could also just went away.
Yeah.
You could have just turned around and left.
Yeah.
You chose the bravado. You chose to get into the fight, and now you're in court getting sued. You could have just walked away.
Right.
And it's never worth it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's another thing. And that's accountability. Refuse to accept accountability. They refuse to accept it. They just won't go, you know what? Yeah, my parents taught me a lot of bad habits, but I know they're bad habits. I know they're bad habits. So at this point, isn't it on me? I'm not responsible for what I've seen from other people, but I'm fully responsible on dealing with it and fixing it. Yeah. And that's a huge thing when it comes to this whole being happy. I don't even want to say weight loss. Just being happy at all. You have to take responsibility for your happiness and say, okay, I have to create an environment that I'm happy in. Yeah. What does that look like? Like when I was dating, like I know probably people thought I was weird, the women, but I was like, what does happiness look like for you? Describe what happiness is. Give me a vision of your life 10 years from now. Nobody can answer. Nobody. Because they don't even think about like a joyful existence. They just think like, oh, well, like day by day. I'm like, no. Like when I told my wife, I go, we can have a great marriage if we want it, but we both have to actually want it. like we don't ever have to break up if we don't want to. Because basically, to me, I'm gonna say this, and it sounds as simple, but it is as simple. When you can't be in a relationship, all you're showing anybody is you don't get along well with others. Because all you're talking about is getting along with you and Brandon just need to get along. Think about that. You just need to get along with each other, and you can be together forever.
And it's so easy not to get along with people. Like there, you can make the choice, and that's the thing is like you have to realize that these things don't just happen. It's your response to what these things are happening to you, right? Like they may happen, they're going to happen regardless, but your response and how you treat the people around you and being able to have fun together, you know, like those are choices you have to make. Because you know what, I piss Brandon off, he pisses me off, and we could easily be like, I'm done, I'm out, right? But when we both have the end result, the same end result in our relationship, we know that we are 100% in it together. And
also it depends, and there's going to be women out there and men out there that are like, yeah, but you can't overcome this. We're not talking extreme. We're not talking about abusive situations here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
We're talking about two people who just, get into arguments about the dishes, get into stupid arguments about this and that and bills. And I told her this. I go, do you realize people, like, I got some pet peeves, okay? I'm moody. I can be moody. I got pet peeves. I know that they're pet peeves. I know that they are. And those are my problems, not hers. Because remember, pet peeves are what you feel about something you've seen throughout over time. I don't like this because of that. Those are you. That's your problem. That ain't my problem. That's your problem. Now, cheating and lying and all that, that's our problem. That's going to cause our issue.
Yeah.
Okay. But I just don't like, like me, I like a clean house. I don't like TVs and the lights left on. And when they're left on, I lose my mind sometimes. Now, I know I'm losing my mind and I really shouldn't be. So instead of, I just cut them off. But I'm not going to get divorced from it, okay? And this is what people get like divorced over, pet peeves. Number two, you can't spend your time around somebody a lot and them not getting your nerves at some point.
Yeah.
I got the cutest little dog ever. Sometimes I'm like, get away from me, Gizmo, get out. And then later on, I'm like, hey, Gizmo, what are you doing? How you doing? How did you?
It's so true. And a lot of times we'll let a moment mess up so many other things, right? Like, don't think that that's your life sentence just by that moment and what happened in that conversation. And I think that's
it is ridiculous how people can let one stupid argument about laundry detergent cross days. And I always tell people, listen, if you're fighting about something, is another tip, ladies, gentlemen. If you're fighting about something right now with your girl or your man, ask yourself, would we be fighting about this when we first met? When we first met, would this be a fight? If the answer is no, that means you're fighting about nothing. And you're not really talking. This thing is not what the fight is. Somewhere back there, something went left or right. Something went left or right, and now you're arguing about stupid shit.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to do. You need to go back there and go, okay, when did this start going left or right? Now, it only matters if both parties are trying to stay together.
Yeah.
Okay. If both parties aren't trying to stay together, this doesn't work. This only works for people who actually want to have a relationship. We got to stop acting like the things we do have no repercussions. Eating horribly, not exercising will catch up to you. I told my girl, I go, look, I'm gonna try to stay in the best shape I can so you don't have an invalid, because I'm 56. Okay, I'll be 57 next month. I don't care. I know, but you're young. There's more people behind me than ahead of me. Okay, there's way more people older than me than younger than me. So I'm moving into rare territory. Okay. 60s is starting to get to red territory. 70s and 80s. Okay, I'm not playing that game. I'm trying to enjoy my life while I'm here. Okay, so when you're in shape and you take care of yourself, the days you're here are happier days. Yeah. And we don't know how many days we have here because we're not in charge of that. So my question to anybody out there who's struggling, getting up and getting moving and motivating themselves, ask yourself, if you knew you had 2 years to live, how would you live them? Would you be fighting with people that you love? Would you be shortening your life even more by how you live your life? Or would you want to be very productive for the next 2 years? That's why your brother, as his weight goes down, his life opens up. Because when you're really, really big, you can't do a lot. You can't get in plane seats. You can't get in amusement parks. See, like you're too big for these type of. I was a bodybuilder and I was too big for half the stuff I sat in, and I wasn't fat, but I was still a big person, a big human being. So when you get big, life is uncomfortable. Walking is uncomfortable. Going places. When you lose weight, you hiking and you could go here and you go.
You know what I loved when I was talking to him, he was telling me, and I've seen him post pictures of this on social media, but one of the things that I've loved watching is this last summer, he went on 2 backpacking trips with his kids. And he's like, usually I really struggle with even trying to do it once a year, you know, but he's like, I did 2 and I felt great. He's like, I felt amazing. And he even showed me like pictures back to back that were like 2 months apart of what he looked like 2 months ago compared to just like a few weeks ago. And it's amazing, like the difference that you can see just even in 2 months, because his mindset is right. And he sees the world and he feels the world completely differently. And that's an experience that people miss out on when they don't realize like what real good health feels like, right? I had this friend that was actually, she had problems with her heart. And she shared her story with me that, you know, ever since she was born, she had this heart condition, and she was told that she'd only live to a certain age. And she was put on the list to get a donor heart, and she was able to get her donor heart. And when she got her donor heart, she's like, I cannot tell you how much easier it was for me just to breathe. She's like, people don't realize what they have until they find out what they didn't have, right? And she's like, I can't believe that I can actually exercise. I can go on a walk.
That's a big issue. I know that's another thing. We're live though. We're live, so it's not the same as we record. That's another issue that I think it goes along the lines of what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. I've had people say to me that I feel fine. I'm like, because you're not I said, get in shape and tell me, and then we'll have this talk again.
Yeah.
Get in shape. Get in shape and we'll have this talk again. You think you're fine. Yeah, you start working out. You start working out. You like this.
Good it feels, right?
I'm doing stuff. I'm doing 10 times more stuff than I used to do before.
Yeah.
Because most people don't know. You don't know how out of shape you are until you get into shape.
Yeah.
And people don't even, and they don't get it. Yeah. They don't get it. They don't even know. So that's another reason. People think they're actually in shape. I'm like, I asked this one guy, I said, how could you be in shape if you don't exercise? How? Our bodies don't get better as we get older, it breaks down. That's like saying your car is getting in better shape all over the town. No, it's not. Your car is breaking down, your body is breaking down. So you can't be in great shape if you don't exercise. You can, not that you're not in shape, but don't tell me great shape, because you ain't doing anything. You can be in shape, but then work out and watch how much more you would be doing.
Yeah, and just to understand how just living, like take baby steps and just live a little bit healthier every day in your life. Like you don't need to go from one extreme to the other. Like start small. If going from one extreme to the other is like too hard, just do.
You gotta know who you are. I'm glad you said that. You gotta know your personality. If you're a person who's extreme, now I'm gonna be honest with you. This is something that some people might disagree with, but I don't really care because it's not my opinion. It's the Betty Ford Clinic in Palm Springs opinion. But I agree with it. There's people who have a personality where they're all or nothing. Some people try to act like there's no such thing as an addictive personality. I don't know how you can not believe that at all. Because like me, I don't get addicted to nothing. Seriously, I can say no to anything. Like I get tired of stuff. Like I love cheesecake. I haven't had a slice in forever because I just get sick of eating stuff. I get sick of everything at some point. Some people, once they're on a bone, they never let that bone go. So those are usually people who, get caught up in drugs and alcohol. They get into something, and when they get into it, they get all the way into it. You can't change that. You can't change that. Just like an ADHD person can't change being ADHD. You can treat it, you can work with it, but you can't stop it. Yeah. Same thing with this. So the Betty Ford Clinic intelligently says, well, if you're going to be addicted that much to something, can we find something positive? So Let's get you that addicted to business. Let's get you that addicted to fitness. Let's get you that addicted to being a parent. Because you're going to be the best parent. You're going to be the best parent ever, right? Because you're going to go into it that hard. So you got to work with people's personalities. You can't just expect them to stop. Down. That person ain't calming down no matter what you say. So give them something. So give them something that if they're going to be in that place, it's a productive place for them to be. They can get a lot done. They can be happy about and proud of what they're doing. But stop trying to tell people to be you. I used to do that. Yeah. I used to do that until I had two of my clients say, "You need to stop acting like everybody's you, dude. You're you." Yeah. And so you need to learn how to get people to be themselves, be a better version of themselves. So don't try to not. So stop telling people don't get addicted to this stuff. Don't tell them that. If they're going to get addicted to health and fitness, that's not a bad place to get addicted.
Yeah. And you know what? I think like just going along with what you're saying, you know, it has to do with changing those habits into healthier habits, right? And one of the things that I love that I was talking to my brother-in-law about was that he was saying that one of the things he used to do, and he doesn't drink diet soda, so it's always like full strength soda, right? So he had this routine that because he works in sales and he goes like to different houses and stuff like that. So he's constantly in his car. So his routine every day was to go get like a big gulp of soda. And he said he'd fill it up like 3 or 4 times a day throughout his day, right? What? And he's drinking like all this soda, right? But for him, like he enjoys that whole moment of walking into the gas station, getting his drink, talking to the people there, then getting back in his car. It's like part of his routine. He couldn't change that, right? So what he did, which I thought was brilliant, and that you can use this as well, change it for different habits that are healthier just by changing what it is you're filling up at the gas station. So now what he does, because he still has to have that routine because it's just part of his day and he enjoys it, he actually takes a bottle and he goes and fills it up with water. So instead of getting soda, he's going to the gas station and he's getting water throughout the day, and he's like just guzzling water all day instead of having all that soda, you know?
Whatever works, folks.
Yeah. I thought that was so brilliant, you know, and it's so easy. I mean, he's still keeping that same habit up. He didn't change it too much, but he changed it just enough that it made a huge difference in his life. And that's
and also it's easier to stick to programs, any program, when you look at it in a way that's going to help you. Because I try to come up with, when you talk to hundreds and hundreds of people over years and years, you hear a lot of stuff. So I try to remember some of the stuff that people have asked me or struggled with over the years. And because I did every single thing y'all have done. I just, I was trying to get into something. I was trying to get into bodybuilding. I wasn't a big eater. It was hard for me to eat. I had to change the way I ate. I grew up in a black home in the Bronx. You don't eat chicken breast and salads all the time, So I had to change. But I was okay with it. When I saw all those people dying in the hospitals, and I put a lot of people in the morgue, a lot. I was like, you know what? I ain't going out like that. I ain't going out like that. Look, guys, there's something else that I don't think people realize. There's so many things that we have no control over that can kill us. Why would we add anything voluntarily? Yeah. Like, that's why one of the reasons I don't do a lot of that stuff is because I'm like, I got hit by a car at a red light, broke my neck, paralyzed my arm. I didn't do anything but sit at a red light, and it almost killed me. I ain't drinking. There's so many things that could kill me without me having anything to do with it. Just sitting here at my computer, freaking something lands on my house and kills me.
Right?
A car comes through the freaking.
That just happened at my friend's work. She had a motorcyclist that just drove through her window, and she luckily got up to go get a drink while it happened, and it crashed right into her desk. Right?
Anything can happen, man. Anything can happen. So I'm not going to add to the list. I'm not going to be like, okay, let me throw smoking in the mix. Let me throw alcohol in the mix. You know what? I'm going to play Russian roulette every morning. Okay. I'm going to work now. Like, I don't.
No, it's so true. And
I don't get it. Think about it, guys. Like, we add to the list of all the things that could kill us. Crossing the street, something you can choke on something while you're eating. People die in their sleep every single day. People die in the bathtub, die on the toilet, die walking, die going to work. Why would we add to the list?
Yeah, my friend's dad, he just passed away actually, and I was listening to the story of what happened, and he was watching TV, and when they came back to go talk to him, he was gone, you know? So you never know, like, our lives are so short and so
Fragile.
valuable.
They're
It's so
fragile.
fragile, yeah.
And if you really believe in God, like a lot of people say, oh, if you really believe in God, then you know you have no, you're not gonna know. You're not gonna get a text message. Tomorrow's the day. It's not gonna happen like that. Okay?
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen like that. So if you really, that's why I don't get upset about people dying. I don't. I cherish the life that God gave them to me. Like if you're with me for 20 years, instead of me complaining about the ones I didn't get, I just appreciate the ones I got because it's not on our terms anyway.
Yeah.
We don't control that. So I really live my life going, since I don't control when this happens, I better value the time I'm here and value the people around me that are here because they're not guaranteed to be here tomorrow either. And it's just a whole nother way of looking at life. And that's what I had to do to get out of my depression. I was like, I've been learning to appreciate stuff. Things going bad right now, but I'm alive to fix it. I can actually fix some of this stuff.
Yeah.
My arm is better. I can move it more. Still not good, but it ain't as bad as it was.
Yeah.
So I just have a completely different philosophy about living. And a lot of people claim to, but in my opinion, life is for people who are trying to live. Because if you're just existing, you're not going to have a good time while you're here. If you're just existing. But if you're actually trying to live, man, all these things that are getting in your way, get them out of your way. If it's a person, get them out of your way. If it's food, get it out of your way.
Yeah.
And stop telling yourself you can't. Because if you say you can, you feel it. Just say can't and say can. It just feels better. It just feels better. Even right now, if I say can, it feels better than saying can't. Because when I say can't, the first thing I think is something bad. Like
yeah.
I mean, instantly. So people get those words right. Get the words in your head right.
Yeah.
Watch videos like this. Watch other videos. If you're not taking advantage of all of this YouTube and all these videos of speakers like myself and Cherie, you're really, really not taking advantage of. Stop complaining about all the bad stuff on the internet. Stop paying attention to the good stuff.
Yes.
How about that? How about stop looking at all that stuff?
I love it.
There's both while you're picking the stuff that makes you feel bad, right?
Right. No, I love that. This was such a great topic, and I know we'll talk about it again because it is such an important one. And
it's important.
Guys, I hope that you guys were able to understand that this comes from the heart from us, because when you can live your best life, and it's not just about the weight loss, it's about like everything that you consume in your environment. That's what will change you to better you or to worsen your life. So be very aware of that. But thank you, Coach Idris.
Good way to put it. Goes both ways. Good way to put it, Cherie. It can go either way. Good one.
Yep. Okay. Well, you have a good weekend, and we will see you next week.
You got it.
Okay, you guys, this was such a great day. Like, I love this conversation. I'll probably share this one again. But you guys, it's really true. Like, whatever you put into your environment, you're going to have a response from that. So try to create better things for your life, because if you're not living your life intentionally, then you're just going to have to react and respond to the things that are happening to you. But be proactive, being intentional with your time, and live your best life today. So see you guys. Have a great weekend. Mwah.